The Land Series family consists of 3 members, as any off-roading fan with a thing for Toyota's tough cars will be able to tell you. The J250, also referred to as the Prado, is the most recent model to get a new generation. It is joined by the larger J300, and the J70 completes the lineup. It appears that the Japanese manufacturer plans to add a smaller model to the Land Cruiser lineup. By legacy, we refer to certain design cues, as well as possibly some buttons and knobs. The two won't likely share any other characteristics, not even the same off-road capability, as the smaller vehicle is likely to have a unibody rather than a body-on-frame structure. According to a recent Japanese story, the vehicle might be called the Toyota Land Hopper. A recent trademark filing from the regional office on August 8 can serve as evidence. It can be utilized for things like land vehicles, motors, engines, and transmission parts. We have discovered throughout the years that acquiring a name does not always portend the arrival of a new vehicle. The but comes into play here since, according to Japanese media, it might be coming as soon as this month. Boxy proportions and a tough aesthetic. Everything seems to point to the purported Toyota Land Hopper having a smaller Land Cruiser-like appearance. And we all know what that implies, especially given that it is said to compete with vehicles like the Ford Bronco Sport. Yes, it has a boxy shape overall and probably has a front end that resembles that of its larger sibling. To highlight its tough appearance, we anticipate it to have a straight roofline, engine that abruptly rises above the tailgate, and the customary plastic cladding wrapped around the lower portions of the bumpers, fenders, and side skirts. How do we know that though? Actually, we don't. And by the statement that everything seems to indicate in the previous sentence, that would be the sporadic rumors that come from sources based in the land of the rising sun. Nonetheless, given that it must differentiate itself from other compact crossovers produced by Toyota, it would make sense to introduce it with angular style and boxy looks akin to the larger Land Cruiser. However, this section will be covered in more detail later because it merits its own paragraph. Of course, Toyota might make it appear to be a miniature FJ Cruiser, so we could be mistaken about the Land Cruiser-like appearance. After all, they gave it a sneak peek with a concept called the Compact Cruiser EV almost 2 years ago, with the EV portion being an obvious reference to its powertrain. Furthermore, if the business intends to make the Land Hopper a global model, other names may be used outside of Japan, making the Land Hopper nameplate a possible reserve. Unibody, underpinnings, and power, are they familiar? According to rumors, the Corolla Cross and Land Hopper could share a platform in Toyota's family of small crossover vehicles. The regular Corolla, as well as the CHR, Prius, and Lexus UX, among others, use the TNGA-C construction. It therefore accommodates various powertrains. If it were to use this architecture, it wouldn't be shocking to hear that the gasoline and hybrid engines seen on the Corolla Cross may be adopted. We don't believe the Japanese automaker will endure to the trouble of giving it such an assembly, even though it would be a natural step and one that would make it future-proof. A pure EV alternative is also rumored to be in the works. After all, the Land Hopper is meant to be a more compact and reasonably priced substitute for the Land Cruiser. However, since battery electric power was an element of the model that foresaw it in 2021, we cannot completely discount it out. Conclusions? Let's assume that this model does indeed arrive, either under a different nameplate or as the Land Hopper. In that case, it is obvious that it will cater to those looking for a straightforward crossover, although one with a more rugged appearance. It won't be an off-road vehicle because the platform wouldn't support it, so it'll probably serve as a supermarket delivery vehicle and school bus instead. Even though it is said to use the same architecture as the Corolla Cross, it should be slightly more powerful off-road. We wouldn't be surprised to learn that it adds more features to the fun table, likely including a dedicated driving mode or more for when the going gets a little rougher. The Japanese media have reported that the Toyota Land Hopper could make its debut as early as this month at the Mobility Show in Japan, so we might learn everything there is to know about it sooner than you might think.